All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report. Today we're going to be talking about the geopolitical and military tensions that are going on between Thailand and Cambodia. Martial law has been declared. 138,000 people have fled, both sides exchanging fire. Trade challenges and border disputes intensify the risks of a prolonged conflict. Middle East flashpoints. Gaza conflict has escalated. Israel prepares for a major offensive and new ceasefire efforts are stalling. So way to Syria, see the Druze self-administration has been declared. Russia-Ukraine talks. Zelensky confirms negotiations, but a Putin-Zelensky meeting is still seen as unlikely by the Kremlin. And ISIS strike. U.S. CENTCOM has killed a senior ISIS leader and his sons in Syria. Let's start with your crisis report for July 25th, 2025. A new UK survey shows half the public, 53%, think Islam is not compatible with British values and 41% think Muslim immigrants have a negative impact on the UK. Comparison, 15% of Hindu immigrants, 14% of Sheikh immigrants, 13% of Jewish immigrants, and 7% of Christian immigrants. Polling was commissioned by the Ahmadiyya Muslim community done by YouGov and comes in the run-up to the new definition of Islamophobia to be released by the United Kingdom government later this year. Unitree's new humanoid robot is now selling for $5,900. United Kingdom's leftist ex-Labour MP Jeremy Corbyn claims nearly 200,000 people have signed up to his new political party, Your Party. Your Party, it is made up of people of all faiths, and none aims to fix the crises in our society with a mass redistribution of wealth and power, and that the great dividers want you to think that the problems in our society are caused by migrants or refugees. They are not. Martial law has been officially declared in parts of Thailand over hot military conflict with Cambodia. Porsche's profit has plummeted by 91% in the second quarter. German sports car maker has announced job cuts. Trump says he has nothing to do with Epstein. Trump says he never went to Epstein's island. Meta is going to stop selling and running political ads on Facebook and Instagram in response to EU's regulation on political advertising due to comments in October, saying that the EU legislation requirements are unworkable. The United States Treasury Department is now accepting Venmo and PayPal payments from those who want to donate money to reduce the nation's $36.7 trillion debt. Used electric cars lose massive value. Top models currently are losing up to 40% in the first year. Ghislaine Maxwell provided the DOJ with information on 100 people linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Trump on Europe. You're not going to have Europe anymore. You got to get your act together. Stop this horrible invasion. Stop. This immigration is killing Europe. 13 billion doses of the Rona were injected to save 2.5 million people, according to the Telegraph. Ghislaine Maxwell got limited immunity in meetings with Deputy Attorney General. The immunity allowed Maxwell to freely answer Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's questions without fear that her responses could later be used against her. Engineers have transformed dental floss into a needle-free flu jab with 75% effectiveness. Thailand warns of a war with Cambodia as 138,000 have fled fighting. Zelensky says Russian negotiators have begun to discuss possible Putin meeting. Kremlin says the Putin-Zelensky meeting in 30 days is obviously unlikely. Elon Musk says valuation of $20 trillion for Tesla is possible. At least 2 people shot at a student housing complex at the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, and the suspect remains at large and may still be on campus, university said, according to reports. Almost a third of Gazans not eating for days, UN Food Aid Agency has stated. Trump suggests the government could issue rebate checks to Americans from the tariff revenue collected this year, according to Axios. Trump says a 50-50 chance of the U.S.-EU trade deal is possible. Mysterious intergalactic object could potentially be a hostile alien spacecraft that's slated to attack our planet in November, according to a new study by scientists, if you didn't have enough to prep for already. Southwest flight departing Burbank abruptly dropped 475 feet to avoid a possible mid-air collision with another plane, as per flight tracking data and passenger accounts. Reports say terrified passengers flew out of their seats. Microsoft is eliminating passwords starting August 1st. Authenticator app will no longer store or autofill them. Only passkeys, Face ID, fingerprints, and PINs will be supported. Geo Insider on X. Remember one thing, as the situation along the Thai-Cambodian border continues to evolve and more claims come out from both sides, it's important to understand the context behind these reports. The border is one of the most difficult environments to operate in militarily. Much of it is covered in dense jungle, steep hills, and remote stretches with little to no infrastructure. Movement is limited, supply lines are hard to maintain, and large-scale operations are nearly impossible to sustain for long. On top of that, many areas are still affected by landmines left over from past conflicts, making even basic patrols dangerous. Before we get too caught up in the headlines of who's captured what, remember that these are the places where holding ground is a constant challenge. In many sectors, the environment itself pushes back harder than any opposing force. That said, not all areas are equally difficult. From a military standpoint, the area around Preah Vihear Temple, particularly near Chom Kasant, is one of the more manageable zones. It offers better visibility, slightly more developed road access on the Thai side, and elevated positions that are valuable for both observation and defense. This is part of why it has been a key flashpoint in previous confrontations. In contrast, areas like Tom and Ta Krabe, or the zones around Mumbai and Phnom Kak, are extremely difficult to operate in. These are deep jungle zones with rough elevation and far fewer routes in and out. Any engagement there is hard fought and logistically demanding. So when you hear claims of territory being taken or held, keep in mind it's rarely black and white. Thailand versus Cambodia military comparison. Budgets and personnel. Thailand, 5.89 billion budget, 606,850 personnel, 360,850 in the Army. Cambodia, $860 million budget, 231,000 personnel, 221,000 in the Army. Thailand has 635 tanks, 16,935 AFVs, 665 artillery units. Cambodia, 644 tanks, 896 artillery units. Air Force, Thailand, 46,000 personnel, 72 fighter jets, including F-16s and Gripens, 258 helicopters. Cambodia, 1,500 personnel, no fighter jets, 10 transport planes, 21 helicopters. Navy, Thailand, 70,000 personnel, 1 aircraft carrier, 7 frigates, 6 corvettes, 49 patrol vessels, 14 landing craft, Marine Corps of 23,000, naval aviation with UAVs and helicopters. Cambodia has 28 personnel, 20 patrol vessels, 1 landing craft. Global ranking, Thailand, 25th out of 145 countries. Cambodia, 95th out of 145 countries. France will recognize the state of Palestine in September, according to Macron. True to its historic commitment to a just and lasting peace in the Middle East, I have decided that France will recognize the state of Palestine. I will make the solemn announcement in the United Nations General Assembly next September. By the way, folks, we are brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. If you are considering an IRA in gold and silver, please check out the affiliate link in the description. They are one of the highest rated companies for such things. Check them out. Whoosh. We are complete. Newsmax has begun referring to Ghislaine Maxwell as a victim. As a reminder, Alex Acosta, who gave Epstein his sweetheart deal in Florida and who also served in the Trump cabinet afterwards, is on the board of directors for Newsmax. Netanyahu and the U.S. State Department condemned French President Macron's move to recognize Palestinian statehood. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu stated, "Let's be clear, the Palestinians do not seek a state alongside Israel. They seek a state instead of Israel." Secretary of State Marco Rubio called the move a slap in the face to the victims of October 7th. U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee says that a Palestinian state should be created inside French territory. UN International Court of Justice rules that climate change is an existential universal risk to all nations, unequivocally caused by human activities, and member states have a duty to prevent it. UN has already recognized climate migrant as a valid category in international law. Very soon, nations will be told they have to take large numbers of these climate migrants, fleeing devastation caused by climate change, or even devastation that will be caused by climate change in the near future. This will legitimize and give carte blanche to enormous exodus from the third world to the West. For EU countries, this ruling will give more ammunition to the European Court of Human Rights to decide how EU members spend their money, and will galvanize the EU's religious adherence to climate ideology, in turn making the continent weaker economically. I covered this over on the GIC, did a video earlier, just a 2-minuter. That channel will be getting going here very soon as well. Trump signs a rescissions bill clawing back foreign aid, NPR, and PBS funding. President Trump signed legislation to claw back $9 billion in foreign aid and public broadcasting funding. First time in decades that Congress has approved a president's request to rescind previously approved funding. Bill targets roughly $8 billion for foreign assistance programs, including the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID. The package also includes about $1 billion in funding cuts for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which supports public radio, television stations, including NPR and PBS. This is on X from Stéphane Molyneux. Almost every government policy in the West is designed to prevent family formation for the native population. Hopefully you watched my video earlier on PrepperNow this morning, 6 a.m. start time. That's what I'm going to start to do there. And Roger Marcus had a response. He said, "Could not agree more. Housing is expensive. Families taxed to the bone. Prices are so high that both elements of the couple must work. Women are incentivized to not care about having children in their prime. Public schooling literally poisons children or poisons their mind. Public schooling is bad for children. Culture is profoundly anti-children. What else? Do you agree?" July 18th, if we have a smart president, you're never going to let the dollar slide. If you have a dummy, that could happen. July 25th, a weak dollar makes you a hell of a lot more money. It doesn't sound good, but you make a hell of a lot more money with a weaker dollar than you do with a strong dollar. Israel confiscates baby formula from foreign doctors at Gaza checkpoints, British surgeon Nick Maynard has stated. No formula allowed in, every carton seized. Trump says with Macron, says doesn't matter. He says what he says doesn't matter. Here's the good news. What Macron says doesn't matter. His statement doesn't carry any weight. Starmer is facing pressure from senior ministers and French President Macron to recognize a Palestinian statehood amid the deepening crisis in Gaza. France will recognize Palestine at the UN in September and wants the UK to follow suit. Starmer says recognition is a right but won't commit to a timeline. Cabinet frustration is growing with calls to act before it's too late. Thailand's Emergency Medical and Public Health Operations Center, or EOC, reports 13 dead, 31 injured, and 83,170 evacuated following Cambodian attacks. Cambodian PM says that Thailand initially supported the Malaysian Prime Minister's proposal for a ceasefire, but later reversed its position. The key to resolving the current conflict is Thailand's acceptance of the ceasefire. Israel will allow Arab countries to resume airdropping aid to the Gaza Strip. Meta says it will ban political ads in the EU from October, calling the new rules unworkable. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, together with our allies, we are now considering alternative options to bring our hostages home. U.S. Central Command. Early this morning, U.S. CENTCOM forces killed senior ISIS leader Dehya Zalba Muslah al-Hardani and his two ISIS-linked sons during a raid in Al-Bab, Aleppo, Syria. Trump on Epstein files. You should focus on Clinton. You should focus on the president of Harvard, the former president of Harvard. You should focus on some of the hedge fund guys. I'll give you a list. These guys lived with Jeffrey. I sure as hell didn't. Israeli-backed Al-Hijri militias opened fire on a general security checkpoint and an Al Jazeera crew near the town of Walga, Suwaida. Still going on. Beginning of Syria is falling apart. Well, Suwaida's military council, SMC, declares the establishment of the self-administration of the Jabal al-Arab Druze majority Suwaida, southern Syria. Gaza update. IDF is preparing for a major offensive. With no ceasefire in sight, the IDF is set to intensify operations in Gaza, focusing on encircling key areas and dismantling Hamas infrastructure. Gaza City encirclement reoccupied the Netzarim corridor to fully surround the city. Central Gaza established a second front with a siege to safeguard hostages. Southern Gaza, clear all terror infrastructure in the Rafah on steroids operation. Civilian support, relocate civilians to secure zones with access to humanitarian aid points. Maps highlights IDF control over 63% of Gaza, aid distribution centers, and humanitarian cargo crossings. After Epping Forest District Council voted, this is in England, to close an asylum hotel that had been the site of recent protests, anti-migration protests have spread to other sites around the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom's new Online Safety Act is being used to suppress videos of protests in Sutton in Ashfield. In Argentina, during the first half of 2025, household consumption grew by 45% compared to the same period in 2024. It is the third best record since 2008, only surpassed by the second halves of 2011 and 2015, years of presidential elections, according to Poliarchia. Javier Milei is doing a number on Argentina, and it's not a negative one. Thai media says the military hostilities have commenced on day 3 between Thailand and Cambodia at the Trot border, with Cambodian forces initiating gunfire against Thai soldiers who returned fire, said the Thai military before 7 a.m. Saturday. According to them, the Royal Navy is already on red alert. TikTok could be shut down in the U.S. unless China approves a deal transferring control to the app to an American owner, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has warned. And Jeff Bezos has completed a major sale of shares, cashing out nearly $5.7 billion since his wedding in late June, according to Bloomberg. I wonder what he could be thinking and why he would be doing such things. Who knows? Friends, that is your crisis report. Going forward, we are going to pre-record these and do a premiere. We're going to try and do it at about 11:30, hopefully a little bit earlier. I'm also going to be doing what I'm going to call the Crisis Report Mini, where I'm going to take it and truncate it into a smaller report. So people that don't have all the time in the world can either go to the Substack and read it there. Locals and Subscribestar will have it as well. So basically the pay sites will have it. And I'll probably post it onto my members area as well. But going forward, when you're fighting a battle and your tactics aren't working, sometimes you need to readjust. So I am not big enough to take on Borg, but I can take my tactics and put it in a way where, as I said, I won't beat them, but I will outlast them. So this is how the crisis report is going to go for going forward. It's going to be just straight news at the start. We're going to do a premiere at the same time every night. I'll have the crisis report mini on my pay areas, and from there, we'll just keep doing the things and get it out. But that is your crisis report for July 25th, 2025. I think you're going to like the new style. I hear you. Borg, you won the battle, but you're not going to win the war. God bless. We'll see you on the next one.